Hey there, it's Mitchell Millennial, and in today's video, I'm gonna cover the newly announced Zhiyun Crane 2 accessories that they just put on their Facebook today. Before we do that, go ahead, hit the subscribe button if you like this video. I post videos all the time about travel tech, the tech used to create travel videos. Also, if you like what you see here, go ahead and check out my Facebook group, Travel Tubers. It's got a bunch of people that travel the world also creating content like this, and it's a great resource to help you plan to capture some of the best moments for your upcoming trip. So today, Zhiyun announced a bunch of accessories for the Crane 2. They announced a mechanical follow focus, a dual handle setup, a compact dual handle setup, a monopod, and some other goodies, and we're gonna jump right into it. Now, the first item that Zhiyun released was that quarter 20 port extender, and essentially this is a bracket that goes on the bottom of the Crane 2. It has 6 quarter 20 ports, and it screws into the tripod socket of the Crane 2, giving you a plethora more ports and a lot more expandability. They haven't released pricing on this yet, but I hope it's gonna be anywhere between $10 to $20. I think anything more than that is asking a lot for a piece of machined aluminum. The next item on this list is the compact dual handle setup. Now, this compact dual handle looks like a traditional cold shoe extender port that you would see wedding photographers use to mount a flash on that swivels out of the way. I'm not sure if this is going to be a Zhiyun original piece, as it is movable on the bottom, leading me to believe that this would be an item that they just adapted from another company that would be used for a DSLR to have extra quarter 20 ports and extra cold shoe mounts on it. Again, I'm hoping that this item is anywhere between $10 to maybe $35, because anything more than that, in my opinion, would be a lot for an item that does something that is essentially identical to a lot of other products already on the market. Now, the third item on this list, I almost have a hard time covering it. It is a Zhiyun branded monopod. In the press picture that they have, and I'll throw the press picture right up on screen over here, the monopod looks really, really small in comparison to the Crane 2. I don't know if I would necessarily trust a monopod that's this small with my investment like that. I'm assuming it's either carbon fiber or aluminum of some sort, and it has a wrist strap on the end. I'm sure some people will find a use for this to fake drone shots doing overhead, like jib dolly kind of stuff, but this is definitely not an accessory that I'm going to be buying. Now, another item that they released today that I'm a little bit more excited about would be the shoulder bracket. Now, this shoulder bracket that they have has straps that go on your back. It's got a piece that rests on your shoulder and another part that goes on your chest, and it essentially gives you a hands-free mounting ability for your Crane 2 so that you can go ahead and utilize the follow focus while having a more supported grip on the item. Now, one thing that I'm a little bit hesitant about before I would go ahead and purchase this is whether or not this is going to be a proprietary product. The last thing I want to do is go ahead and buy a shoulder rig that I can only use with a gimbal, because there'd be other circumstances where I would want the flexibility of a shoulder rig to use for a conventional DSLR or mirrorless camera when recording. Looks like this item actually screws onto the battery compartment of the Crane 2 from just the looks of it, and it's got some type of adjustability. I'd be really interested to see more in depth about this, and if anyone at Zhiyun is watching this video, go ahead and send me a sample. I would love to review it. Now, the next item that they put out today is the dual handle setup. I already purchased the dual handle setup. I already filmed the review for it. I just haven't gotten around to editing it and putting it online for you guys yet, but there will be a full, thorough review coming up on my channel of the dual handles for the Crane 2. Now, another item that I find really interesting is their adapter ring with quarter 20 ports. Essentially, this is going to be a mounting bracket to add additional quarter 20 ports to your Zhiyun Crane 2. You're probably most excited about is the mechanical follow focus and remote control for the Crane 2. Now these are two separate items, and I'll go ahead and I'll start with the mechanical follow focus. For the mechanical follow focus that Zhiyun released, they are showing a Sony A7 body with a 24-70 G Master lens. Just to give you guys an idea of the size of the mechanical follow focus, it mounts via the hot shoe on top of the camera, and it has two axes of adjustment, one front to back, so if you're shooting a prime, it should work, and the next is up and down, so if you have a really girthy wide lens, should be able to adapt as well. Now, one thing that I'm curious is if it's going to require mechanical follow focus gears to be added to the lens. If you look really closely at the mechanical follow focus picture that they released, you can see that there are teeth on the bottom of it. So I'm assuming you would need to add some type of aftermarket gears to your lens in order to work with this. Now, something I'm really curious about is how this is going to be controlled. Now, and I'm curious about it for a couple of reasons. The first is that we see a micro USB port on the top of the mechanical follow focus controller. Now, there's only one micro USB port on the Crane 2 itself that is meant to connect to a camera, meaning if you are using the newly announced remote control, which I'll get to in a second, I'm assuming that the mechanical follow focus would be wireless, because the way that the remote control is going to interface with the camera is through the actual Crane 2 unit, which is going to go ahead and actually connect physically to your camera that you're shooting with, so you can start and stop recording. So I'm assuming that the mechanical follow focus unit that Zhiyun released is going to be a wireless one, so that you can still have other camera controls when you're not using the remote control. So I'm assuming that the mechanical follow focus and the remote control are going to also have some type of wireless link, so that you can have full functionality of the camera and the mechanical follow focus. This is a really interesting announcement, because if it's a small, inexpensive follow focus that Zhiyun is releasing, it's going to be kind of a big deal, because oftentimes most of the follow focus units that we see are either for Canons and they interface via the micro USB port, or it's another adapter that goes in between the camera and the lens. And if Zhiyun is releasing a hot shoe mounted follow focus and a wireless controller for, let's say, under the $250 mark, that would definitely be something that I would be interested in, simply because there aren't a lot of other products on the market that are oriented towards small, fast, inexpensive rigs that also offer wireless follow focus. Now, the next item that I'm going to talk about, which I touched on already, is the remote control. And the remote control is obviously going to be wireless, because it's going to be a remote. And on the remote control, there's a joystick, which I'm assuming is going to be used to control the gimbal. There's a follow focus assembly, and then there's controls for the rest of the camera, start, stop recording, etc. And because they released the remote control, it leads me to believe that the remote control is going to interface with the mechanical follow focus completely separate of the Crane 2 unit itself. If the remote control and the mechanical follow focus do not work independently of the Crane 2, that would be a really big disappointment for me, simply because if I'm going to invest in a wireless follow focus system, I would like to be able to take it from camera to camera. I don't really see myself using a cinema rig anytime soon, and even if I did use a cinema rig, I could go ahead and adapt cold shoes to a rail system to utilize the mechanical follow focus and the remote control. Personally, my prediction for the remote control and the mechanical follow focus is that they are both charged via micro USB or some type of USB port, and they will work independently of the Crane 2. If they don't work independently of the Crane 2, this is definitely going to be a no-go for me, only because I don't want to have a bunch of proprietary equipment that requires using a gimbal in order to get the rest of it set up and working. If anyone at Zhiyun is watching and they want to send me some test units, feel free. I'd absolutely love to test out some of the stuff and review it for my channel and create content for you guys. And if you viewers enjoyed this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Till next time, it's been Mitchell Millennial coming to you from Hanoi, Vietnam, signing out.